to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here this afternoon with Andy Moss. Yes, here he is. He's going to be starring in Frank's Closet, which opens on the 6th of March at the Union Theatre in London. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Good. So you're in the
We
rehearsal.
are deep into rehearsals, week
Yes.
three. It's
Yes.
all going swimmingly well. And yeah, we're just excited to get into the theatre now.
Brilliant. So tell us about Frank's Closet. I mean, obviously I've read about it and the premise of it sounds brilliant. So ultimately, um, it's a queer story. I mean, you play Frank himself.
I
Just
do.
you tell us. I mean, you're better versed to tell the audience.
Yeah, so it's a basic, the bones of it are it's a love story and a will they won't they kind of get married. So that's the bare bones of it. And then there's different layers where we kind of look back on Frank's life and how he was repressed and kind of kept in the closet from where he grew up north. And we kind of visit all the seminal points in his life that either caused trauma or growth for him. And we do that in a way where he's visited by a diva of the past. Because there's a line in it that refers to his record collection. He found out who he was. He found out who he was through his record collection. Sorry, it's just a bit noisy in the background.
That's all right.
He found out who he was through his record collection and kind of grew, kind of grew that way. So each diva that visits him gives him a nugget of information to either move his life forward now or why he had those feelings in the past. And it's all absolutely bonkers, set in and out of a closet.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant. I mean, can you tell us who we might meet? So who the divas might be, or is this all can we not tell?
There's a lot of divas. So basically, we start right from the 1870s from Ethel Mary Lloyd, the Queen of the Music Hall, and it goes right through to Dusty Springfield. So there are a plethora of divas. My favorite one is Judy Garland,
Yeah,
the guy
icon.
Luke who plays the divas, and Alan, because this is what happens. His boyfriend, his future husband, plays all the divas, which is
Right.
really a really clever little trick that they do.
Yeah.
Um, and his Judy Garland is outstanding. Um, and yeah, everyone's going to be blown away by his talent. And also the supporting cast that we have as well, all fresh out of drama school and stuff, are
Oh,
just
brilliant.
so amazing. And it's just a lovely little ensemble of us, and we rattle through these divas. One of my personal favorites is Karen Carpenter.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
she sings a beautiful song to Frank, which makes a lot of sense in the story. I'm trying not to give anything away, you see.
I know, it's hard.
Um, but yeah, so we got Mary Lloyd, we've got the who else do we got? Judy Garland,
Do we have a Agneta?
Agatha Faltskog, yeah, Agneta
Yeah,
Faltskog
that's
from
it.
ABBA,
Yeah.
which is again hilarious. Um, But what's kind of nice in it is it deep down it's still a love story, so it
Yeah.
never loses its heart, and it's got a lot of references through queer culture through the years, especially
Mm.
because we decided that Frank's from up north, just to compensate for my accent, even though I can do accents, guys. Uh, so it's just it makes for a nicer, rounded character, I think, and
Yeah.
kind of why he came down to London to find himself and discovered the boys of London town.
Yeah. So the music in this in the musical, I mean, are they songs that we'll know, like from the divas? Do they sing their own songs or is it original?
So no, they're original songs written for the piece,
Okay.
but they're in the style of that diva. So
Right.
you would recognize from the opening chords, any theatre fan or any fan of the divas will know straight away who that
Yeah.
diva is.
Yeah.
Um, the name's escaping. Oh, Julie Andrews. When we do the Julie Andrews bit, it's hilarious, hilarious. And her opening lines, you would automatically know that Julie Andrews is about
Yeah,
to come on.
yeah,
So that it's everything's familiar, but they're all original songs for the piece.
yeah. So I take it like the costuming then for Luke that plays the divas, they're all, we will recognise who they're supposed to be.
100%. Like we're not shying away from the fact they are the divas,
Yeah,
but I think for rights and stuff, they have their own
yeah,
diva song.
yeah.
But the chord progression and the harmonies and stuff, each song is instantly recognizable for its diva for sure.
Yeah. So you're not a stranger to musical theatre. I mean, you were in Ghost, the musical, as
I was
Sam.
cult hit Knights of the Rose. Don't forget that one.
Oh, yes, that one as well.
I,
I was just
I'll
going
let I'll let you guys research that one.
to. Will do.
But yeah, I loved it. I loved Ghost. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a musical that we haven't seen for a while. So, I mean, what was your experience like in that? Obviously, you played alongside the beautiful Sarah Harding, as well. So, I mean, what was that like for you? That show?
Um, for me, I'd always trained in musical theatre, and
Oh,
I was
okay.
lucky that I got my start on telly basically. So for
Mm.
the first 20 years of my career, I just did TV back to back, which I was really lucky. But I always had this itch. I always wanted to do a big musical. And the chance came up to do Ghost, and I didn't. And my friend Richard Fleischman did the
Oh,
did the
yeah.
original production of it. So I'd seen it and I was aware of it. And Glenn Ballard, who wrote the music, and Dave Stewart, like Glenn Ballard produced some of my favorite Divas albums, like Alanis Morissette, Gwen Stefani, Michael
Yeah.
Jackson. So when I kind of knew it was in that style, and obviously Ghost is such an iconic film,
Yeah.
I'd always watched it since I was a kid. I'd have been silly not to do it.
Yeah.
Um, what I found about it though is I know people say it now all the time, but it's so much more hard work
Mm.
doing a show like that, especially 6 days a week and touring.
Yeah.
On your day off, you're traveling to the next venue to set up and blah blah blah. But the discipline you have of being ready to perform at 7:30 p.m. that night, so your
Mm.
whole day's eaten up by it, and
Yeah.
then going on stage and giving everything. I think in Ghost, I didn't really leave the stage either. So you literally have to wring yourself through the whole process and leave yourself on the stage at the end. I know that sounds cheesy and theatrical or whatever, but we're on a theatre podcast, so why not be theatrical?
Exactly.
Um, um, yeah, it was a discipline that I'd never experienced before. So getting my head around that, and I think for me, hitting the same mark every night and saying the
Mm.
line the same every night, and so that you're not throwing a sound cue or an orchestra cue or a lighting cue. For me, the doing exactly the same every night was the hard bit for me because
Yeah.
as an actor, my instinct is just to keep everything fresh and make sure
Mm.
you think you've heard it for the first time. And kind of honing that skill was really interesting.
Yeah.
I managed to do it. And then obviously I got to work with some wonderful people,
Yeah.
including Sarah.
Yeah.
God rest her soul.
Yeah.
It was definitely an experience because
Mm.
she was a pop star and I'd come from TV. It
Mm.
was automatically we were already up against it. We were classed as stunt casting or whatever.
Mm.
But I think people who actually came to see that show in the end, we really did give our hearts to it, and you
Yeah.
couldn't fail to see that. And in the end, we were packed out every night. So for me, it was a successful tour.
Yeah. I mean, it is a great show, and I'm surprised it's not done the rounds again. Actually, so I'd like a new tour of that.
I don't know. Well, I think they loaned the set to Russia.
Oh.
And they've probably not got it back,
I
and I
was
don't think anyone's
silly.
going to go and get it, are they?
No, no, leave it there. All right then.
I was going to say that's a story for another day.
Yeah, indeed. So you mentioned there your work on TV, and I mean, people will remember that you were in Hollyoaks. I mean, it's one of the biggest
hmm
soaps in the country. What is the TV world like for you and that going into that sort of show?
Um, Coming from where I grew up, it's a big thing to get in a show like that,
Yeah.
because we were still classed as working class actors and blah blah blah. So it was always hard to get a foot on the ladder. So I was really good, and I think a show like Hollyoaks, it's just a great foundation to learn your craft.
Mm,
And you either can do it, and you're kept on, and you learn more, and you push it further and further, or you just kind of peter out. And I was lucky enough that for me it was such a supportive environment,
yeah.
that I learned everything from just being on set.
Yeah.
um, and some of the storylines we did, some of them were like bonkers, but
Yeah.
other ones were like really like hard hitting. Like just off the top of my head, I remember the anorexia one that we did. That
Mm,
was such a big thing. We did really dark ones like his wife got raped and things like that. Was the issue of consent and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And like the transgender storyline, things like that. So Hollyoaks have always had the most important issues, and they've always been the first ones to do it. And I
Yeah.
don't think we ever quite got credit for that. I think towards the end, people started to see what we were doing, and I think without blowing my own trumpet, those were the golden years of Hollyoaks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's still going strong today, as we know. So do you have a preference with sort of theatre or TV? I mean, I know you mentioned there that musical theatre's sort of, has your heart, but with the way
Yeah,
you work, do you prefer live theatre or TV?
um, I think for any actor, it's great to be able to do both,
Hmm.
because um, being on stage, you get the instant feedback from the audience, and you know whether you've hit a bum note, or you should ratchet up a gear or whatever. You literally get the instant feedback. Whereas on TV, you kind of have to go back and watch yourself, and
Mm.
then you can adapt. But maybe it'll take 3 months till you start seeing it on screen or something.
Yeah.
And so they're two totally different disciplines. And I'm just lucky enough that I get to do both.
Yeah, yeah, well, it's lovely. Yeah, absolutely. So going back to Frank's closet, I mean, if you could
Frank's
be,
Closet.
yes,
Little
indeed, if
snippet
you
for you
could
there.
be, if you could be any diva, alive or dead, who would you be?
If I could be any diva, well, my ultimate diva is Mariah Carey.
Okay.
So I would
Yeah.
I would have to say Mariah Carey would
Yeah.
be the one that I would love to be. And the story about this is hilarious. So when I was growing up and stuff, I was too cool to like Mariah Carey. I was like more into like Blink 182 and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, and then even when I was on Hollyoaks, we even filmed a show with her. We did the Friday Night Project, and I was in her presence for 12 hours,
Oh my
and I had
God.
no interest whatsoever. I was just watching her do a diva moves or whatever, and I was like, "When do we get lunch? How long have we got to wait for this change?" Now, if it was now, I would
Yeah.
literally be rolling out the red carpet in front of her and everything.
Wow.
It was the thing. What it was with Mariah Carey was I just found it amazing how a musician like that, with such an incredible voice,
Yeah.
could go from that to that awful New Year's Eve performance she had about 5 years ago. Do you
Yes.
remember?
Yeah, I
And
do.
so I got into like a YouTube rabbit hole with it all.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, I came out as like the biggest fan.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so I'm a retrospective Mariah Carey fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good choice.
I'm a
She is.
lamb.
Yeah, she's probably the ultimate diva, probably of this time, definitely. So good
100%. And
choice.
then obviously Beyonce. Beyonce is
Oh,
like up there as well. Like she's our Michael Jackson, for sure.
yes, absolutely, without a doubt. Right, so Frank's Closet then, opening at the Union Theatre, 6th of March, running through to the 30th. Wishing you all the best with it, Andy. I think it sounds wonderful. I hope the rest of the
Yeah.
rehearsals go well, and good luck with the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's lovely to speak to you, Emma.
And you.